So good morning, everyone. I'm Jeff Blair, Vice President of Business Development here at Eastern Controls. I'm in the Eastern Controls process training unit behind me. I'm also president of ISA Philadelphia. So instrumentation runs deep here at Eastern Controls. We appreciate you joining us for a few minutes today to talk about RNG service capabilities. So first, I'll give you a brief overview of Eastern Controls. On the left, you'll see our geography. And on the right is kind of a smattering of some of the typical products we supply for an RNG plant. They range from instrumentation, the valves, gas and flame detection, like you see up here, gas analyzers and chromatographs, heat trace, and PLCs as well, PLCs, RTU. But today we're here to talk about the services that we have. Eastern Controls was recently nominated as a Philadelphia Inquirer top workplace in 2024. So that's something pretty neat to celebrate. And obviously, these folks are celebrating a little bit. This is our illustrious service team you see here on the right. That is a recent picture. I realize we're all very busy in our day-to-day jobs, but I ask if you take anything away from this presentation, remember it's these people on the right that will come to your plant and they will help you get started up faster. They will help you get back online faster. They help keep you in compliance with things like calibrating your gas and flame detection to calibrating flow meters on site. We'll talk about all these things a little bit today. But when it comes to the Mid-Atlantic as a territory, there's nobody around that does it with the speed and efficiency and the expertise that Eastern Controls does. As an added bonus, please take this away with you. Our startup services of the Eastern Controls instruments may get an extended warranty of up to 5 years. There's nothing else like that in the industry. What we're going to talk about today revolves around biogas and renewable natural gas. The terms get interchanged a lot, they get confused. Essentially, all renewable natural gas is biogas. Renewable natural gas is upgraded biogas. But when we're talking about biogas, biogas has between 45 and 65% methane, and then the rest is normally carbon dioxide and a minuscule amount of other elements. Renewable natural gas, also called biomethane, often by our friends in Europe, it's the same thing chemically as the natural gas that's found in your home, used to use your hot water, used to, it'll go to a natural gas combined cycle power plant to make electricity. You can't identify one from the other. So renewable natural gas is natural gas. It's biogas that's been upgraded. So you're thinking to yourself, what's the big deal? Why are you talking to me about services and all this equipment and stuff for renewable natural gas and biogas? Well, here's some of the things that I think come down to the bottom line. The analyzers that we sell and service can help prevent your renewable natural gas from being shut in. What does that mean? If you're producing renewable natural gas and you have too much moisture in it, for example, that pipeline or that customer taking your renewable natural gas can shut you down and you're shut in. You don't have anywhere to send the gas. It's all going to go to a flare or go back through your process. The analyzers we sell and service help keep you in compliance with, and here's some typical standards on the right. When you look at a digester, you've got, we call them bugs that are in there. The analytical instruments and the flow meters we sell and service help keep things in compliance, and they help make sure that the bugs stay healthy, looking at the amount of methane that's going through that gas. We monitor for dangerous levels of H2S and CH4, methane, with our gas detection. And at the end of the day, we keep the pipes flowing. The things that you maybe can see behind me here, flow meters of all different types, ultrasonic flow meters, Coriolis flow meters, even magnetic flow meters for some of the incoming liquid waste. We keep those things flowing to keep you moving. The trend recently in renewable natural gas, and it starts out as biogas coming out of the anaerobic digester. Here you see in the picture, you see biogas. You take out the H2O, the water, the H2S, and the CO2 to get to biomethane. This is the trend. We're seeing Whereas previously, often it was a landfill gas. Nothing wrong with that, but the recent trend has been to use animal waste and food waste in large metropolitan areas, run it through an anaerobic digester, take it as biogas, remove everything out, get to biomethane. That biomethane often feeds into a pipeline. It can feed into a virtual pipeline, but it's used for vehicle fuel quite often. But it can also be used, just like we said, just like you can use traditional natural gas, you can use the renewable natural gas or biomethane that comes out of there. Trends we've seen as Eastern Controls, when you're building a plant, having a single source and inventory of the items you're going to use in that plant local to you helps. Europe is very influential in this business. I think it's fair to say Europe is probably a few years ahead of the United States in terms of making what they call biomethane, we call renewable natural gas. And because of that, a lot of the equipment will come from Europe to be used here in the United States. Working with a local supplier for supply and service can help make sure that those instruments and controls show up in United States units of measurement and they're speaking English. Shipping around the United States from a domestic part of the United States has been helpful. The service, which we'll talk about, compliance with EPA. And this last topic, the Inflation Reduction Act, it's very, very confusing. One of the things it calls for are rebates for customers building plants when they're using instrumentation and controls and other equipment built in the United States. So that's something that a good vendor like Eastern Controls can help you with. So we'll go back to the process and just to give you another brief overview. So what we're seeing primarily here is food waste and manure going into an anaerobic digester. We're looking at CO2, H2S, H2O, and O2 there. The biogas comes out. The H2S and CO2 are removed. We're compressing it, ultimately getting it to a custody transfer flow meter, and there it's going into a pipeline or a virtual pipeline as biomethane or renewable natural gas. Some of the equipment you'll see used in that process, I'll highlight just a couple of things that may be unique and different. We as Eastern Controls are the Endress and Hauser rep for the Mid-Atlantic. And this flow meter is very unique. There's a couple different varieties of it, but essentially if you call about the biogas, it also works for RNG flow meter. It'll come up as a prosonic flow meter. What makes these unique is that they work very well with biogas and RNG. Biogas is very wet, it's dirty, it's low velocity. So it handles that very well. But as an added bonus, it also acts as an analyzer. This is huge. It monitors the percent of methane in the biogas. And that's where we get to, if you know what the methane percentage is coming right out of the digester, you can often estimate the health of the bugs in the digester. If you're not getting good biogas coming out of the digester, it's going to be a bad day for everybody, unfortunately. You want to keep those bugs very healthy. Another piece of equipment to highlight is gas detection. Eastern Controls is the MSA representative in the Mid-Atlantic. The product you see on the left is the flagship product. It's an MSA X5000 to comply with. And the previous item, I failed to mention this, is also, we can get it domestically sourced. This one's made in the United States. MSA is known as the safety company globally. This item can be configured very quickly, but most important, you can put two sensors on it to reduce the number of overall instrumentation, reduce the overall number of IO points, possibly going back to your safety system, saving you money on the installation. The biggest kicker, which we'll talk about in just a minute, is how we as Eastern Controls can service this instrument to make sure it stays in compliance. Most gas detection requires intervals of calibration and/or bump testing. We're the Mason-Elin rep for the Mid-Atlantic, and a little bit, our territory even extends beyond that. This is the flagship product. It's a Camflex. We see these used in RNG plants, sometimes on the pipeline diverter system and where control valves are needed. We keep a lot of inventory here. The service technicians you saw in the picture can help service this and repair it, start it up, and even do retrofits. Custody transfer of renewable natural gas is very difficult. The flow meters are often very different. There are different standards. We do have solutions. A couple I put here may be of interest, and at the end of the day, you can contact us and we'll help you find the best custody transfer solution for your plant. But the custody transfer occurs right where that renewable natural gas goes to the pipeline customer. Coriolis, like the Proline ProMass F300, and ultrasonic flow meters like the FlowSick 500 from ZIC are both approved for custody transfer. So back to the overall process, what we see as Eastern Controls, and we are a vendor, we are a service provider, we're an INC contractor and an INC supplier serving this industry. What we see here is typically 4 different parties involved in the construction, and then the operation, there's fewer, but in the construction of a renewable natural gas plant, we see an end user, ultimately, who's up here at the top. We see a digester technology supplier. We see an upgrading partner where we're doing the upgrade and removing the CO2 and the H2S and things like that. And then we see a balance of plant contractor, somebody who may be building the plant as an EPC, and they have subcontractors that are tying all these systems together from the injection point to the custody transfer point. Maybe there's a flare down here or something, but somebody has to work together to make sure all 3 or 4 of these parties are playing well together. So end user, digester partner, upgrading partner, and then a balance of plant EPC or contractor. The reason I mention this is the different entities and the different parties may have different interests in what the services may be that they require. So first, we'll talk about the gas and flame mapping services for greater risk reduction. We've talked about methane, we've talked about H2S, we've talked about oxygen and oxygen levels. All of these things are critical. It affects the plant safety. So one of the things we can do as Eastern Controls is help design that gas and flame system. So this is in compliance with ISA Technical Report TR 84.00.00.07-2018, guidance on the evaluation of fire, combustible gas, and toxic gas system effectiveness. What we can do if we get involved early in your process is take your plant drawings, work with those drawings and the software we use to figure out exactly where those gas and flame detection systems need to be placed to offer you the optimal coverage. We even give you a map showing where the coverage is and where there may be limited coverage in case you want to add an extra sensor. This often helps, this may help lower your insurance cost. It certainly lowers your risk when running the plant. Eastern Controls does many things that you may not know about. It's not unusual for us to establish a maintenance contract to have a technician or technicians on site for either the startup of the plant, or even the operation of the plant. We have technicians that go to active running facilities every day. We do full main instrument vendor and INC subcontractor services. And if you think about the instruments and maybe some of the things you can see behind me, some of them aren't very, very big. Some of these things may be even the size of your iPhone. During the construction phase, there are things that can get lost very easily on site. One of the things we do is Eastern Controls in our facility. You can't see it here, but it's over to my left. We have a full warehouse. We'll keep things for customers in our region during the construction phase where we'll actually store them here and deliver them to the site, fully configurable, ready to install to prevent loss on the construction site. Along with that, everything we put in, we keep a detailed record and we turn that over to you electronically. Where this really helps is when you go back to all 3 of those partners, the gas upgrader, the digester, the balance of plant contractor, and the end user. Ultimately, the end user is going to run that plant. And when they have a report from us that says, here's every instrument, valve, gas detection, pump that's in your plant, that really helps maintenance get off to a running start. And then finally, our inventory. We keep, it varies, but between 2 and 4 million in inventory here at our flagship location of Eastern Controls in Edgemont, Pennsylvania. So that often means if you need a valve quickly, you don't have to wait the 52 weeks. It may be as quick as a day to get a replacement instrument or valve. We also do on-site calibration. So when you consider this, oftentimes when either your plant maintenance folks or you may have to send the instrument away. So in the case of flow meters here on the right, they're often removed from the line, sent back to a factory. And during that time, they're gone. They're not able to be used, but we can actually come to the plant to calibrate flow meters for you. Excuse me. The other thing we can do is calibrate gas and flame detection. So if you're going to work with gas and flame detection, you may be having to keep calibration gases on hand. Obviously, your technicians have to be trained. You have to keep the paperwork. One of the things we can do is we'll come to the site to calibrate your gas detection for you. And obviously, when you're dealing with remote locations, there are some things that need to be done. We have to stay in compliance with EPA Title 40 CFR Part 98. We can help you do that with your flow meters in our calibration program. Flow meters are probably the biggest thing and the biggest concern of customers when it comes to keeping them in compliance. Back to that EPA standard we talked about. Typically, when you look at a flow meter, you're going to have to remove it from the process. You're going to have a spare meter on site to put in place. It's going to be away from the plant. You're paying the shipping and the travel. So again, looking at Eastern Controls and our on-site flow meter calibration capabilities is really worth a look for the operation of the plant. One of the things we can do with our products is some flow meters don't necessarily need to be calibrated. When we go back to that EPA standard and you start to read into what the EPA says, it does allow the manufacturer to make recommendations. We are unique in that we have what's called heartbeat technology. It uses online diagnostics, verification, and monitoring of that flow meter to see if anything has changed since it was initially calibrated when it left the plant. Many times, nothing's changed. There may not be a reason to calibrate. So this can be something that can help save, again, operational and maintenance costs for the duration of the plant. If you go back to the first slide, one of the first slides, one of the things we talked about was keeping you in compliance, not getting your plant shut in. We are unique in that we supply and service analyzers and gas chromatographs to do that exact same thing. Endress and Hauser, the brand is Spectra Sensors, will provide a complete solution that includes the GC. But what we have to do is make sure that those things are serviced, they're in compliance. This is one of our technicians here working on one. You don't want to get your plant shut in. You always want to make sure you're shipping high quality, in compliance gas to your pipeline customer. The Spectra sensors analyzers are what can do that for you. Now, let's say for flow meters, if you have something you do have time, you do have extra flow meters, you do have a spare on site, you've got maybe something that is unique or large. We do have the portable calibration for flow meters capabilities. We also, here, it's to my left right now, we can calibrate those flow meters here in our office in Edgemont. And you'll see competitor flow meters, our flow, Endress and Hauser flow meters, it doesn't matter. Our calibration and services are brand agnostic. So we can work with anybody's equipment, either here or portable. But if you do want to ship the meter here for a little, I think the one here in our Edgemont facility is we can handle up to 4-inch flow meters. The portable one can handle up to 3-inch, but we can do that regardless of the brand. In control valve services, you'll see a competitor valve here on the left. We often do retrofits we put our positioners, our Baker Hughes Mason Elam positioners on competitor valves. We help rebuild valves, service valves, change out the trim, the packing. We do everything but install them. So please keep that in mind. This one on the right is one we often use to replace globe valves. It's a Camflex, fewer parts, very efficient, and something that we keep in inventory here in Pennsylvania. Behind me, I'll turn my camera back on, sorry. Behind me, you'll see the Eastern Controls Process Training Unit. So the classes you see on screen here, they go back and forth between a classroom that I'm looking at right now here in our facility and real world hands-on experience in our process training unit. It's pretty neat. I don't think there's anything else like it on the East Coast. But what I want to leave you with is we do custom training. We'll come to the job site even to give classes. We'll come to your location to give classes. And because this renewable natural gas business is growing so quickly and so fast, we're bringing a lot of people from other industries or people who haven't worked in the process control business into this industry. So a quick class like instrumentation fundamentals, fundamentals of instrumentation, either here at our facility in Edgemont, Pennsylvania, on your location in one of your classrooms, it really does help bring people up to speed quickly and make them productive and safe employees. So I'll leave you with a few links. We'll put this presentation up and put the links online for public access. But some of the things you'll see, we have an applicator online that shows the whole process and the instrumentation that's without. We highlight the service and the analysis of the biogas and RNG, our complete offer, and then a look at that unique flow meter that not only monitors the flow, but it monitors the percentage of methane in the flow. So I really appreciate everybody sitting in and attending. I'm Jeff. We've got some folks on the line. What I'll do here is take a quick pause and then we'll turn it over to Q&A. So thank you so much for sitting in today. Really enjoyed talking to you all, and I look forward to following up and learning more. Thank you.